Okay. All right. Go ahead, Gary.
John,
Okay, we're gonna go ahead and get started. Everybody. Meeting started.
We don't have a bell or anything. Sorry. We gotta start the meeting.
Okay, John.
All right, thank you.
Hi, my name is Sherry Bourgeois, and on behalf of the Women's Republican Club of New Orleans, I'd like to welcome you here today. We will begin with prayer by Martha Huckabee, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance said by all.
Please stand. I don't know if any one of y'all were able to hear Congresswoman Bogart's prayer in the Capitol the other day. She did I didn't know she was Christian, but it doesn't surprise me because they hate her so much. And so all of a sudden I had light switches going off, like, this is why they hate her. It's not because of her standing up, for the America or what's right. It's because she is, obviously called by God to do what she's doing. And so she gave a beautiful prayer. I wanted to share it with you, but I don't have the ability to right now. So I'm just going to, Father, we thank you for our congressmen and women who do know you and do love you and who are serving you to the best and to the fullest of their capability, Lord. We ask that you hedge them up with angels, that they warfare around them at all times and give them the strength and the courage to continue the fight that you placed them in, that you called them to. Lord, we thank you for those. There are only a few that are doing this. And we know that America was founded on you and you alone. And this is your nation. And we surrender it to you, Lord. Your will be done. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever, now and forever. Amen. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the
flag
flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. USA, United States of America is a constitutional republic, not a democracy.
Okay. I'm Juliet Laughlin. For the past 6 months, I've been working on the Nolatoya recall in New Orleans. And my boss during that time has been Belden, Batist. We call him Noonie Man. I first met him through the RPEC. I'm a committee member of the Orleans RPEC. But he came because he was a candidate for the mayor of New Orleans. And he was born in New Orleans, but from the age of 14, he's been a community activist from the age of 14. And to this day, I have not met anyone in my life who is so devoted to this city and cares for the children and for the homeless. So he has outreach to both of those communities all year long and every year for years and years. So I'm proud to call him my friend. And he's going to give us an update on the recall and take some questions out.
Good afternoon, everyone. I ain't gonna come fight me like I usually do. But thank you, Julie, for everything. I started out 14 working in the community. I care for all people, no matter what color. If you want to fight, I'm going to be there. I'm interested to talk to you and do insurance commissioner because I think you're gonna need some backup dealing with insurance. But anyway, I want to give y'all a quick update what's going on in the recall. We have been sued by Nolatoya, the Detroit. And we're looking forward to the suit. The numbers, why we haven't gave the numbers out is for strategic reasons, because the the voter registration, Sandra Wilson, we have caught her doing all kinds of things. And so she need to be removed, first of all. I want to say that on the tape because she hasn't been doing a good job with the roads. When the recall started, we started out, we've been attacked, me and Eileen Carter, we've been bullied, and Joan George, who's over NOLA.com, who's over the Time Picayune and Advocate, is working with Nolatoya and attacked the recall. And nobody should be buying his paper. And what he did was told the people that Republicans hate black folks. All right, I'm gonna tell y'all like it is. So he has been putting a race theory out there that this is Republican land. This ain't Republican land. Me and Eileen is two African Americans, but the good part is Democrats, Republicans, Libertarians, no party at all, independents. We are all coming together to unify the city of New Orleans, no matter what color in this. So how can you say it's just Republican land? Now, I'm disappointed in John George, but what he refused to tell y'all is his wife's side. Why you didn't put your wife out there? So that's telling you he against the recall and his wife is for the recall. So something not right in the house. So anyway, so at the end of the day, he has put a narrative out and he started a race war. And what I'm trying to do with my community, the blacks, I call them my community, and the Republicans, I'm saying, hey, the Republicans and the black have never been. But he put that narrative. But what he really refused to say, he have had the Advocate for 5 years and have told the black community down and have told the Republicans down. But Nolatoya, the destroyer, has got him. Now, I had to figure out why John George is so loyal to the mayor. What he not going to tell y'all on Camp Street. Remember they moved the homeless people out there on a hotel, in what it's called, the homeless den or something? Thank you. So Nolatoya is going to give him a tax break and give him that land. He got a land in the New Orleans East on Lake Forest, right? Him and 5 people, he did his tax break. So that's why he done. Now, the African American community more would have signed, right? More would have signed, but John George painted a narrative out there from Nolatoya, and they had the blacks scared to sign because of retaliation, bullet. We had one guy named Daniel Ambrose. He had a restaurant called the Half Chef. So he wanted to bring the recall and educate them, right? Do you know what they did that, man? They made a false eviction notice. And he's out of business right now. But so right on the Half Shell with Belden McKenna with the Tribune paper, she says the black paper, but people just wipe their windows with it and throw it in the garbage. So anyway, they attacked him. They attacked another lady by the name of Miss Jackson. She was with Handle. They kicked off the board. We got her back on a recall, and she's back again. Nolatoya kicked off. We got her back on. So the recall has been attacked unfairly. So I just wanted to tell y'all about John George. We need to boycott his paper because he's painting a narrative, and when he see the Republicans, he play like he would. But you the one dividing the race between the blacks and the Republicans, you know. So I try to tell my community, I say, look, the Republicans, they want the same thing we want. If we look at the Democrats, and I'll talk about them, they're gonna be hot after I talk. But the Democrats got every community they got is a poor community. And the Republicans have nothing to do with that. The Democrat Party need to be banned because they're not doing nothing. They don't do voter education. They don't help the black community, but they paint a narrative, oh, it's the Republicans, oh, it's this. No, it's y'all. And that's what they don't like about me. So now to get to the good stuff. The recall. I just wanted y'all to know, recall, we're pushing hard. We're waiting for Sandra Wilson to count the numbers, and Tuesday she should be counting the numbers. But what she have there, she have gave nobody rules, nobody don't know what's going on with the count, nobody ain't watching the count or nothing. So she said she gonna send that straight to the governor. And so the governor there, I guess he'll call the number. So The recall don't have no rules or nothing. We don't know what's going on. But we're gonna fight them, challenge them all the way. If she can't go without, we're gonna fight them because she can't try. Sandra Wilson. She can't be because if y'all saw my video, I love to do Facebook Live. I went there, caught the boxes, there was left over. Our vote was left over, and that's against the law. And I wonder where the Justice Department at or whoever, because they're supposed to protect our vote. And at the end of the day, your vote should be private. But NOLA.com want to prick people names out there. You know what I'm saying? So me and Eileen Carter fought them all the way to court. So John George then filed another lawsuit on us. So we don't know when the court date is, but I love for them to put me on the stand. All y'all come because it's gonna be great. You know what I'm saying? So, any questions y'all want to know about the recall, I'm prepared to answer.
Yes,
Oh,
for the people that didn't see the video of you going into the registrar's office, can you describe what you saw?
oh, yeah. I got a call. Matter of fact, Julie Hudley picked me up from the hospital. I just had surgery, liver surgery. But when the voter called me, they said that Sandra Wilson wouldn't let them sign. And I said, why? Because you had 5 days to still sign. So when I went down there, I saw all the boxes on the counter. Let me cut my video off. So the boxes was left unopened. Nobody was around the boxes. So nobody was around the boxes. So anybody could have went in there. And so I couldn't believe it. So I sent the video to national news, everybody. I think I sent it to Martha. And Martha helped me. We got it out there, right? And what her lawyer said was, that was in the box. So you know I'm like Perry Mason in bad. You know what I'm saying? So I had to circle one on the box and to show that was our boxes. So then we didn't get an explanation from. So I filed a police report, and because by the boxes being, we don't know who took them, and they didn't have one worker, no security, or nothing around.
Right, which I'm sure was not unintentional.
That's right. I think she did that, but we gonna fight all the way. We looking for it.
I have another question.
Go ahead. Bring them, I'm ready.
So she told you that you're supposed to turn in these, that she's going to turn in the numbers to the governor, not the Secretary of State?
That's right. She said the law tell her to turn it in, but she didn't tell her recall nothing. We had to learn. She didn't even, we sent her email to ask her what's the process, what the rules is. It's like Stevie Wonder running it. You know what I'm saying? If Stevie Wonder can see something wrong with this, you know what I'm saying? So she haven't gave us nothing. She didn't let us know nothing. And the bottom line is Sandra Wilson slept, because when you talk about the roads, you're talking about inaction and active. They ain't taking nobody off the road. But Sandra Wilson is supposed to do this every 2 years. And they haven't cleaned the roads in years. And so they went to create the narrative of purging the roads. But listen, you got dead people voting. I want to know what dead person came out the coffin and went and put their number. You know, so and then they're saying that's Republican. It ain't nothing about the Republican. It's about a fair process.
It's been going on for years.
It's been going on for years.
It's Trump's fault.
Huh?
It's Trump's fault.
That's what they try to fail. Ain't no Trump fault. They gotta clean those roads. You know what I'm saying? But they didn't clean the roads, and they painted a narrative in the black community. Well, it's the perfect fault. Mayor Cantrell can't tell. Look what she said. She said, "Oh, it's dysfunctional, and it's the new Jim Crow, and it's hurting voter suppression." Ain't nothing about voter suppression. Somebody, they had a lady, grandmother been dead 30 years, and she's still on the vote roll. So they didn't clean the vote roll. Anybody else?
Yeah, I went to a convention in the States last night. Cameron Henry, my senator, was there from the state, and he was talking about how there is a problem with the cleaning the voting rolls because the process is so onerous.
That's right.
It takes a long time. You have to fill out this long form to take your name off the rolls. That's something that needs to
That do needs a change, but since the recall started, 63 parishes have filed the same lawsuit we filed. They just filed it, 63 parishes have filed the same lawsuit. But if you go to California took 1.2 people off the road. You know what I'm saying? 1.2 million. So they should have been cleaning the roads. But my question is, what have Sandra Call have been doing in our legislature? Because it's fall on the legislators too. Because y'all supposed to be watching. So I watched all of them write letters and y'all trying to say this and that. But if they didn't do their job, we need to fire them all.
Yeah.
Like Jim Downey, I'm glad he gone.
Yeah.
I might even send him a ticket. He need to get out the state of Louisiana. You know what I'm saying?
Awesome. And I thought, I saw, as it was going on, talking about the inactive voters, the media misrepresented it so badly, because that's what they were trying to say. Oh, they're just gonna take inactive voters off, but you're not. We want the voter rolls to be clean. You can be inactive for a number of years and then, go vote. You can still go vote, and you can sign a
You know who
petition.
painted that narrative?
John
George.
John
John,
George.
what is his name?
John George.
John George. He painted that narrative. We need to take his paper, run him out of town, because he see people, he play like this and that, but he's a big problem. And I hope he go to jail with Nolatoya.
I hope.
They can have matching on the joint.
I have a question. It kind of goes with that. I read in the paper and I saw that they were saying that most of the votes on the recall came from white voters in New Orleans in white neighborhoods. And that I don't necessarily, I mean, a voter's a voter. It doesn't matter what color they are. Like, it's a voter.
Yeah.
So there is, again, the narrative that it's whites against blacks. It just doesn't stop.
Well, John George painted that narrative. And that goes back to what I told you earlier. He trying to start a race war. Because blacks have signed. You know what I'm saying? It don't matter. It don't matter who signed the recall. Everybody want a better city. We deserve a better city. And the mayor has neglected her duties, refused to put the city first. Now, look, all y'all watch the news. Who watch the news? Y'all been watching Lee Zerg?
Yeah.
All about the Batist slack and happy, the bodyguard and all that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So a tape leak, right? So that tape is out, but the mayor's still lying about that. We ain't dumb. Nobody is spending all the hours. Look, if they said they was reading the Bible, I'll go with that narrative, right? But at the end of the day, you can read the Bible and go to Calvary. They was together for 620 hours. You know what I'm saying? So we know they wasn't reading the Bible.
They talk about the racial profiles of the way they get the election.
No, they didn't talk about that. You know what I'm saying? And they talk. This is the thing that got me. They said, well, they try to attack funders, right? And they said, well, these funders are white Republicans, right? Well, Nolatoya got funded by the same people, and she got funded from out of town folks like AT&T, like Baza. And if you give Nolatoya a check, you can get a permit, you can get what you want in the city of New Orleans. So they just picked that racial narrative. Look, Matt Sledge, John George, that's all they're doing. But John George, how could you be attacking folks and telling them to put the Republicans? Really? If I'm not in the black community, they put the Republicans to be attacked. You know, say the black people get angry. They can attack white Republicans for what John George said. This man is a hometown community. You know what I'm saying? So I don't believe in racial profiling, because I do a lot of things, okay? I help the kids. I feed the homeless. I pay people bills. But listen, it just ain't black people. White people are stepping up to the plate to help black kids and help black communities. So I don't go by all that race stuff. You know what I'm saying? I just stand high, call it like it is, and call the truth. You know what I'm saying? The truth is the truth. A lie is a lie. Right is right. Wrong is wrong. You know what I'm saying? We all live in this city. So what does John George say? Republicans should not talk about crime. Republicans should not talk about the infrastructure. Republicans should not talk about the housing situation. Republicans should not talk about black boys being gunned down. I hear Republicans bursting the concern about that. You know what I'm saying? So he's painting a racial narrative, and we're gonna follow him, To me, he's a big clown. We need to give him a red nose and a wig and throw some peanuts at him, and since he won't be a clown, treat him like a clown. Call me, I'm just pushing for the city to be the best it could. And all of us gonna push it, and we gonna win, and let me finish, the recall is gonna keep moving forward.
Yeah. And we'll
Yeah.
It is an honor to introduce you to our next candidate for Insurance Commissioner, Tim Temple. Tim is a native of DeRidder, Louisiana. He's a successful insurance professional with over 20 years of experience in every facet of the insurance industry. He has worked his way up in the industry from neighborhood insurance agent to executive, helping business recover from the BP oil spill. Presently, Tim serves as president of Timpton, a family-owned business in Baton Rouge. Additionally, Tim currently serves as the chair and president of the Louisiana Committee of 100 for Economic Development, working outside of government to provide leadership and resources that focus on the economic growth of the Louisiana economy. Tim and his wife Amy live in Baton Rouge with their 2 daughters. Let's give Tim Temple, our next insurance commissioner, a big warm welcome.
Thank y'all. I guess I gotta stand here.
Yeah.
You can move a little to the left.
You gotta keep me in the box, right? Which way?
You got it, you got it.
I'll try and stay in this area. Thank y'all. I appreciate your time. This, I guess we have this afternoon now. For letting me come and speak. Thank you for coming out on a rainy day. Before I start, I do want to do something I've not done before, which is I want to call out my wife, Amy. As you know, running for an office, much less running for a statewide office, it's a sacrifice. It's a sacrifice I make, but it's one the family also makes. Not one you hear about a lot. You know, I asked to stand up here. I asked to be criticized. I'm ready to take all the arrows that get thrown at me. Your family doesn't. You know, your wife doesn't, your kids don't, but that's part of the package that they don't sign up for. But I couldn't do this. I couldn't be at, you know, New Orleans yesterday and Jennings last night and Shreveport Monday and, you know, Ruston Tuesday, everywhere that I am all around the state without my wife being home, helping keep the kids, keep the train running, right? And so, Amy, I just want to say thank you for everything. As you know, I'm a candidate for Commissioner of Insurance, and I can say as of right now, I'm the only candidate for Commissioner of Insurance. Commissioner Donlin did announce on Tuesday, earlier this week, that he was not going to seek re-election. He's been there 17 years, been in public office 50 years. We commend him for that. I mean, he dedicated his life to public service, and I'm glad that he wants to go and retire and spend time with his daughters and grandchildren. So that helps clear the field for me. I'm sure someone will decide to jump in, and that's fine. I mean, you know, it's a statewide race. It's going to be contested, and as elections should, you know, you should always have choices. I don't think you should ever just have one person and that's it. So I'm happy for whoever wants to come and chat. Let's talk about where we are right now. Y'all know it. You live it. You pay for it every day. We're in a crisis in Louisiana. You know, our insurance rates, our auto rates. Let's start with that. Auto rates are the most expensive in the country.
Yes.
If you move to Texas, California, New York, any state in America, when you're the most expensive, it doesn't matter. Any state you move to, your insurance, your auto insurance are going to go down. The rates are going to go down. They're the most expensive. Our homeowners, y'all know that. We're in crisis. We are in absolute free fall. That market has imploded. Over the last 12 months, we've had 12 companies go insolvent. That means that they can't pay their claims. That's 130,000 households that paid their premiums on time, every time, and the companies are no longer there to pay the claims. That's part of why we're in the crisis we're in. We've also had about 24 companies that just said, you know what, we're out. We don't want to be in Louisiana anymore. We're done writing business. That's what's created the turmoil that we're all in right now. We're all facing with. We're either having to go to Citizens, and I know I was talking to someone earlier. I won't call out who it was. Just said that they just lost. They were with UPC.
Yeah, there.
they're being canceled and they're not there anymore. So homeowners crisis, auto crisis, commercial trucking crisis. We've been experiencing that for about a decade now. The big trucks you see running up and down the roads or the small trucks. I mean, if your business owns a vehicle, that's a commercial auto policy. That is again, that's a industry that has been in crisis for 10 years. You don't ever hear about it. We haven't addressed it. And then there's flood insurance. Record trucks. Great Flood 2.0, rating 2.0 is a disaster. It's a federal program, but I know our congressional delegation members are fighting hard. I know Scalise is fighting hard in Washington, D.C. to get that changed. But as your commissioner, I'm going to be standing up there right beside him, testifying with him about why this needs to change, why we need to get it back so it can be affordable again. So that's where we are. We're in a crisis. It doesn't matter where you look, what you're paying. We can't afford it. And the last thing I'll add is Louisiana is the most unaffordable state in America for insurance. And what that means is the average family in Louisiana spends more of their paycheck for insurance than any other state in America. Most of it goes to insurance in Louisiana. It's a simple fact. So I get the question all the time. I think Amy asks me about once a week, why the heck do you want this job? So as the bio briefly said, I spent over 20 years in the insurance industry, and I did wear a lot of different hats. And because of the complexity of insurance, because of the crisis we're in, I truly feel that we need someone from the industry that understands it, that can work with the industry to get more companies back to Louisiana, but can also hold insurance companies accountable so that when you do have a claim, they get out there on time, they bring their checkbook, and they write you a check for the loss that you have. And I have that experience and that knowledge to do that. So what can I do, right? How do we lower rates? That's the big question. Everybody wants to. Well, I can't tell you that the commissioner has a magic wand to make that happen. Can't just say, sorry, companies, you got to lower rates. The way we get lower rates is competition. And I just said, if you were with, especially Orleans Parish, there are no companies writing homeowners right now. I mean, there are one or two, they tend to write high value homes, but that's it. We have no competition in Orleans. So how do we get lower rates? We need companies to come back in. How do we do that? Regulatory. Louisiana has a heavy insurance regulatory burden, higher than any other state in America. There's a group out there called the R Street. It's a Washington, D.C., nonpartisan think tank. And they study all kinds of different industries. Insurance is one of them. Every year they put a report card out, and they rank each state's regulatory environment. Real simple. Just you get an A, B, C, D, or F. They did this, they started 12 years or 13 years ago. And the first year that it came out, Louisiana got a C minus. In fact, C minus, not great, but C minus, we can live with that. The next year we got a D. The next year after that we got a D. And then another D. And then another D. And then we had 4 years in a row where we got Fs. And 2 of those years we were the only state that had an F. And then we had COVID year where they didn't rate. And then this most recent year, 22, we got another D minus. And what does that mean? Think about it. The industry wants to go do business in the state. They're going to look at this and they're going to say, well, do I want to go to Texas, who might have a C or a B, or Mississippi that has a B or a C, or Florida that has I think they've got a C minus. We're D or F every single time. Raise your hand if you want to send your kid to a school district that has a D or an F or a C or an F. You don't. Insurance companies do the same thing. They don't want to do business in the state where they're going to be penalized from a regulatory burden. As the commissioner, I can change that. There are regulatory, I can just, with the leadership, say, we are going to be a department that's going to work with industry to make sure that they can come in, they get treated fairly. But in exchange for that, you have to treat claimants fairly. And we can do that. From a regulatory, from a statutory standpoint, laws. We all see the billboards. We all know the issue there with God. That's what's driving, that's probably the primary driver on that we're suit happy. We think that the first thing you do is you either get hit, or even if you hit somebody, people think the first thing they have to do is not call their insurance company. It's called their attorney.
Right.
And I tell people all the time, if you have a legitimate claim, if you have been legitimately hurt, medical, physical damage to your car, whatever it is. If it's true, if you call an attorney, you're handing over 40% of your dollars to somebody else. Why would anybody do that? And the answer is people don't do that if it's a legitimate claim. We've got to stop. And I'll tell you, y'all know this. We're going to have, come October 14th, a conservative governor in the state of Louisiana. First time in 8 years. We're going to have a more conservative legislative body. We've got more senators, more House members that come in. If you saw the news last night in the House, we now have a super majority of Republicans with Francis Thompson, who switched from Democrat to Republican.
Wow.
Yes. So on top of that, we're going to have more conservative legislators. So with a conservative governor, with a conservative legislative body, we're going to have an additional conservative attorney general. We're going to have, I don't know if y'all have spoken to Scott McKnight. He's running for treasurer. I've had the opportunity to talk to him a lot. He's a very conservative Republican. I think he's going to do a great job as treasurer. Whoever the new treasurer is, we're going to have a new conservative treasurer in there too. With all of those people, you're going to have a new commissioner of insurance. With that, we're going to be able to change some of the laws that we need to and I was, right before I came in, I was on the phone with an insurance exec that we were talking yesterday at an event. And we were talking about the scales of justice are out of balance. You know, we're going to be able to bring it back into balance. And so when you make it balanced, then companies can understand the environment they're in, and they can come in and they can be competitive and they can be profitable. And I want companies profitable, because a profitable company can pay a claim. You know, the thing we did before, we brought all these companies in and they came in with, you know, thin pricing, and we thought that was great. Hey, you know, it's cheap insurance. But as I've said, you know, what good is cheap insurance if it's not there to pay your claim? And the other day someone said, what's like my grandmother used to say, you know what cheap is? I said, cheap is cheap. They said, no, cheap is expensive in the long run. And it makes sense, right? You save a little money here, but at the end of the day, when you need the claim paid and they're not there, what did you get for it? So we're going to rebalance the legal environment in Louisiana. We're going to rebalance the regulatory environment, and I pledge to you, that's what's going to bring companies in. I'm asking you to give me the opportunity to go to Baton Rouge, and I go to Baton Rouge. I would asking for the opportunity to work for you in Baton Rouge, to work with the new, you know, conservative leadership that we're going to have to make these changes so that you will be able to have affordable insurance. I'm not going to stand here and tell you it's going to happen just like that, but it will start to happen as soon as we make a change. Insurance companies, they are looking, they like Louisiana, they want to be in Louisiana, they just want to have a fair shot. And as soon as we make some changes like that, they're going to start coming back in. I'm not going to say I promise, because that's just not the right thing to say, but I pledge to you, that's what I'm going to work for every day, and it will happen. So with that, I'm happy to take questions. I know this lady won't hear.
One of my best friends just lost her house insurance. It's a crisis, and now she's at the mercy of citizens. Explain to the group what citizens is and what the last special session was, and her premium spiked like about 2,000%. It was up to an unaffordable rate. This is a retired professional lady, and it's a crisis, and anybody's scared. So,
like I said, it's unaffordable. So two things: Louisiana Citizens, and then the incentive program. So Louisiana Citizens is our market of last resort. That means that if you need homeowners insurance and your company has canceled you, and you can't find anyone else that says they'll write your homeowners, Louisiana Citizens by law has to write your policy. Also by law, they have to be 10% higher than the regional premium average. So they're the most expensive market. That's by law. If any of you heard me, I was on Tommy Tucker last Monday, maybe the one Monday before that. I don't know. They started running together. But I was on his program about a week ago. And what I propose is that the legislative body change the law so that Citizens is not 10% higher for a 12-month or maybe a 24-month period. Lower that so it's not 10% higher. It gives you immediate premium relief, so you're not paying the highest out there. But it also gives the market time to adjust and bring new companies in so that, again, you're not being unduly penalized with expensive insurance. So that's Louisiana citizens. I'm sorry, I'll get to you that part. Ms. Cooper. Ms. Cooper, right?
Yes.
The other thing, you mentioned the special session. We had a special session at the end of January. I think it was maybe January 30th. It was a 5-day special session. The current commissioner asked for it to do an incentive program, and he asked for $45 million, taxpayer dollars, our money, to give to insurance, for-profit insurance companies to come and come back to Louisiana and write business. It was done back in 2007, 8, 9. It was marginally successful. I'd say questionably successful. A couple of companies came in. They wrote some policies, but again, those companies that came in, for the most part, wrote cheap insurance, and they brought other cheap insurance with them. And those are the companies that have gone insolvent, and those are the companies that have left the state. So I don't think it's a good program. I think it's a boondoggle. Again, it's the commissioner picking and choosing, using our monies and sprinkling money on companies that he gets to pick and say, you get some money, you get some money. Sorry, you don't get any money. As your commissioner, I would never ask for taxpayer dollars to bribe insurance companies to come and write business. The goal is to make sure that insurance is available, affordable, and that the companies that are here that are solvent. So, yes, Ms. Cooper, you want to go first, or?
Yeah, I have something to say, but that is very important because I don't think anybody here realizes this has happened for several decades. And, you know.
And here we are again.
Here we are again. But, right. But also I'd like to say that if you would please address the contingency, the reserve, the amount of money that's required by law. They meet it, but it's not enough to give me 15,000. These claims are going to be 500,000 or 50,000. They're not going to be 15,000. The reserve amount is just minuscule. And they'll say you'll hear words thrown out like several million. And it sounds like a lot, but if you think about it, we're not used to big catastrophic situations. Anyway.
Right, and your point is in Louisiana, the current laws, well, prior to January 1st, the law was that you only had to have $3 million to do business in Louisiana in reserves and policy holder surplus. They changed the law recently, and it's going to stair step it up over the next 7 years, I believe, to $10 million. To your point, Ms. Cooper, $10 million isn't a lot when you're talking about companies writing business in South Louisiana where you know at some point in time you're going to have a hurricane. So their business model was flawed, and that's part of why they failed. So, yes, ma'am.
So to go back to your previous point, I'm real serious. We've just spoken there are 9 companies in Louisiana.
There are 9 companies that have applied to the incentive program for that $45 million. It actually totals $60 million is what they're asking for. The legislature said, here's $45 million. The commissioner took applications from companies. They asked for 60, so he's going to go back in April, when April 10th the session starts. He's going to ask for another $17 million. But those companies are not new companies. Those are companies. There's one company that's a new company to Louisiana. The other 8 already write business in the state of Louisiana. So again, all we're doing is just handing over taxpayer dollars to companies that are already here and asking them to please write more business.
And is there any sort of stopgap measure to make sure, like the reserve situation, that they don't go insolvent for the next catastrophic? I also own construction company, but it's still fighting hard.
I believe it. The department is supposed to be looking at their financial resources, making sure they have policyholder surplus, cash on hand, all that. The problem I had was that the department's already charged with doing that. We didn't change anything, and 12 companies went insolvent while they were supposed to be watching. So I don't think that that's going to change. Yeah, there might be a little bit more oversight, but at the end of the day, if your business model is to come in Louisiana, write cheap insurance, pay yourself a big salary, dividend your investors when a storm comes, leave, that's not going to change. So we have to be hyper vigilant. So, John, yes, sir, you had a question.
Yes, in my industry, the automotive, the towing, wrecking service industry, our insurance is astronomically
beyond expensive. And, I got friends in the industry that moved over the state line to Mississippi. They paying a fraction of what Louisiana paid. And,
My sister has been there, she's like amazing.
and, that, not only that, our current commissioner, takes campaign contributions from Progressive. I'm not saying it's blow smoke, but, go to, followthemoney.org. And also the insurance companies, our industry is regulated by the Public Service Commission. And when we work in accident, a lot of times before the Public Service Commission took over, I mean, the job, every job is different. I mean, got a lot of hassles involved in cleaning up, working in accidents. The record bills come to $300-400, but the insurance companies don't want to pay it, so they went to the Public Service Commission, and we had a legislature named Fritz Windhorst. He wanted to pass a law where record company services can only charge $35 for an accident. That's not right. That's not 100% profit in our business. Right. And we have a lot of expenses involved. First of all, diesel's not cheap. And yeah, so how can we lower the rates for the trucking in automotive business?
Well, first thing we gotta do is acknowledge the problem, like I said. You don't hear it talked about, right? Like I said, this is something that's going to make continued years. And all the legislature is focused on right now, not all, but primarily what they're focused on is the homeowners crisis. My position is, if we're gonna start fixing things, let's talk about all of it. Let's talk about the homeowners, let's talk about the auto, let's talk about the commercial auto. Again, one of the drivers on the commercial is the litigation aspect. So there are going to be some bills introduced, I'm hopeful, this session that will start to chip away at that. Truth of the matter is, no matter what they pass, I doubt that the current governor would he would veto any tort reform bills that would help address the issues that you're dealing with. Unfortunately, the bad news for you and for all of us really is that until we get a new governor, new additional legislative members, we're not going to get, I think, any meaningful tort reform passed.
I hope we get a conservative governor.
That's what I said. We're going to get that. So, yes.
Kleinfeld, Senator Kleinfeld just won, and it just gave one vote
Support
over.
out.
We could probably override the government this go round.
That is an option. That
Let's
certainly
spend
is.
on that.
And so I think that is something that they've shown, the legislature shown the willpower to tackle. And so that could be one way. Yes. Yes.
Okay, this is something I've wondered for a long time related to insurance. Are these insurance companies not required to carry their own catastrophic insurance policy to cover when a Katrina comes?
It's called reinsurance.
Reinsurance,
Correct.
okay.
Right. And I was a reinsurance broker for about 8 years. So yes, they are required when insurance companies buy insurance, it's called reinsurance. And the companies that failed, the 12 companies that have failed so far, I'm hoping that there's not going to be more, but I wouldn't say that that's for sure. But the 12 companies that currently failed, most of them did not purchase enough reinsurance. I think 7 of the companies were from Louisiana that they failed because primarily the claims of Louisiana. The other 5, it's been mentioned that they had a lot of exposure in Florida. And when they had the hurricane, we had Ida, they had Ian. When Hurricane Ian hit Florida, that was a big driver of their financial, but it doesn't matter where the claims are. They're still supposed to carry proper reinsurance. The current Department of Insurance doesn't look at the reinsurance that they carry. They can, by law, they can ask and say, show us what you have. But until you have, and I'm not saying me personally, but until you have, because as commissioner, it's not like I'm sitting there looking at the financial statements saying, okay, you can come in and you can't. You have folks, you got actuaries on staff, you have accountants, you have people that's their job is to review that. I don't know that we have the people that have that background and the capability to do that right now. And I say that because it wasn't done before. And it may have been they just were told not to look at it or weren't told to look at it. But until we start paying attention to that, we're not gonna know, but we will this committee.
And in regards to that, in a true free market, if we were truly a free country, right? In a true free market, I don't feel anybody should be forced to do that, right? But we've allowed ourselves to be forced to carry automobile insurance, and we're not forced by the government to carry property insurance, but by the mortgage companies and things like that. So I'm not a proponent for forcing them to do it, but I am a proponent of looking at it realistically and saying, what are we supposed to do here?
Well,
Or have us carry our own catastrophic if necessary.
and there is a balance to that. I'm like you. I don't think you should force into this. I'm for deregulation, right? A free market. I think that's the way you should. Free market truly is. I get to charge what I want, when I want, and if you like my product, you'll buy it. If you find it somewhere else better or cheaper, you can go there. That's free market. But when we're talking about the financial strength, whether it's insurance companies or banks, there are some safety measures that should be put in, like FDIC, right? If you have money in a bank, that you got $250,000. If the bank